Well, hey guys. Good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you on the Inspirations for Your Life show. And yeah, it's Saturday, and that means it's a brand new master topic. We're not into February yet, but the fact that we are in Saturday means that we're on a brand new master topic. Tomorrow's February. But we have a great master topic for you for this week. We'll get into that in just a moment. But again, if you are here for the very first time, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you and welcome. If you're coming back, well, what I'd like to do is say thank you and, of course, welcome back. And if you haven't checked out us before, be sure to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations, short form, long form articles, etc. If you're thirsty, feel free to go get yourself some RO water there. Kind of spilled out of my container there. Anyway, yeah, and again, if you're coming for the first time, welcome. But if you're coming back, welcome back. So, welcome back, everyone, to Inspirations for Your Life. This is the daily motivational show where growth is intentional, strength is sustainable, and success is built from, yes, guys, the inside out. Who am I? Oh, sure. I'm John C. Morley. I'm your host, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, and a passionate lifelong learner. Yes, it is really a privilege and pleasure to be with you. This episode is about a truth most people learn too late in life. The world doesn't reward the loudest voice in the room. Although many people think that if you're the loudest, you're the squeakiest wheel, well, that doesn't really mean success all the time. It means annoyance, okay? And so it rewards the most grounded people, not the loudest. They may get some attention, but people are going to be sick and tired of those people. Quiet strength isn't weakness, guys. It's power under control. And today, I'm exploring why being unseen, underestimated, and unbothered is often the greatest advantage you can have. Now, you might say to me, John, well, I just want to do what I do because I am who I am. Well, that's fine, guys, but you're not going to build success. You're actually going to build people that don't want to talk to you, people that really can't stand to get out of your presence. Quiet strength, guys, wins long term because it's compounding the loud confidence and it burns fast. Oh, let me share with you what the master is for the week. The master is the world rewards the quietly strong, not the loudly powerful. Series 5, show 6, and we're on episode number 1. Calm confidence builds trust over time. When you don't need to announce every move, people underestimate you. And that creates strategic space. So, guys, also very grateful. This is now, I think we've been live. I think it's going to be a week that we're live with my brand new P16G3. You guys all know the horror story that happened when I had the P1G from Lenovo because their salesperson said, oh, this is going to be the greatest, but he didn't know his head from his butt. And I knew that laptop was going to be a problem, but I just said, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, I'll send it back. It did everything great, but you know what it couldn't do? It couldn't stream, couldn't do professional audio. It crashed. The P16G3 is a lean, powerful machine. Lean meaning the way it's designed, but not on performance. Not on performance. So, yeah. And also it has some new camera angle adjustments and stuff, so it's really cool. So calm people, guys, don't chase control. They naturally hold it, or what I like to say, hold a space for it. And when you hold a space for something, it basically causes you to not only appreciate it, but it causes other people to pay attention to you, follow you, like you, share you, and also makes them want to, let's say, mimic you a little bit because they like what you're doing. Stillness, guys, attracts trust. When you're not reactive, people feel safe around you. Drama, taxes progress, but quiet consistency builds momentum. And I think that's something that a lot of people here, they just don't get for whatever reason. They just don't get it. So, understanding how listening creates leverage. Calm minds see patterns that others miss. And silence doesn't make you invisible, guys. It makes others reveal themselves. Because when you're silent, you become more observant, don't you, about what's around you, what's going on. You just become extremely observant and you just want to be part of everything. And you learn an awful lot. Yeah, you definitely learn an awful lot. So, quiet people negotiate better because they don't lead with what? The ego. That's right. So, what is an ego in short? Because I know we talk about this a lot, but I want to go back and kind of explain what an ego is according to Merriam-Webster. So, an ego is the self, especially as contrasted with another self or the world. But what are, I guess, the best way I want to share this with you is without giving you a whole psychology lesson. What are the parts of our ego? Let's do that, okay? So we have the id, the ego, and the superego. I'm trying not to make this too psychological. The id and the superego are components of Freud's psychoanalytic theory. I'm sorry. The ID represents our basic instincts and desires seeking immediate gratification. The ego is guided by reality, okay? So it is the instinct-driven, pleasure-seeking part of the mind focused on immediate gratification. The ego, the rational mediator that balances the id impulses with the real world. The superego, the moral conscience representing societal and parental standards, striving for ideal behavior. How they interact, the ego negotiates between the impulsive id and the judgmental superego, often using defense mechanisms to reduce conflict or anxiety. What's important, Freud's model helped shape modern psychology by highlighting unconscious motives, the importance of childhood experiences, and how internal conflicts can affect behavior. Yeah, that's I know that's a mouthful there. And so the ego burns energy. All right. Calmness and calm saves it. Still waters run deep, and deep waters move mountains very slowly and steadily and without noise. Quiet authority doesn't demand attention. It commands respect. Let me say that again. It doesn't command attention. It commands respect. Wow, John, that's a real mouthful there. I know. Being unbothered isn't indifference. It's clarity. Calm minds decide better, and quiet dominance doesn't need applause, guys. Low ego leads to high execution. Stillness sharpens focus. Calm outlasts any chaos that we have. And I think when we talk about, the world and we talk about rewards, and I've mentioned this before, when we think about the world as, rewarding the quietly strong, not the loudly powerful, because we've always been taught that the squeaky wheel gets what it needs, but not always. It may in the beginning, but then it doesn't seem to, it doesn't seem to be welcome all the time. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to recognize, that it doesn't seem to be welcome all the time. All right. And so when we think about this, right, we think about being quiet, somebody who's listening, somebody who's observing, right? Not the loudly powerful. Now, the loudly powerful people think of things like a fire or some kind of situation, and somebody yells it. It's going to catch your attention and my attention because that's what it's designed to do. But what it's not going to do is keep our attention for more than 30 seconds to a minute. Because once we decide that this is really not something we have to worry about, like, for example, if somebody yells fire, don't do that, right? People are going to respond. Then after a minute or two, and we realize there is no fire, like, who's this guy? What is he talking about? And then we kind of dismiss it, a little bit annoyed and aggravated, right? So when we think about our own inner calmness, when we are calm, we're not reactive. Now, I've talked about proactive and reactive. We could talk about this in a business standpoint. We could talk about it in a personal standpoint. In a personal standpoint, we want to make sure that in a relationship we are proactive. That means we have open communication. That means that we are listening. That means that we are recognizing body language. And if something doesn't feel right, you know what we do? We communicate. Hey, Joe. Hey, Bob. Hey, Mary. I noticed we were talking about XYZ. And just so I'm clear about this, what you're looking for me to do is get rid of everything in the yard or what have you. No, that's not what I want. What do you want? I want you to get rid of all the things on your side of the yard, not the whole yard. That's a interesting thing. But can you think about being quiet for a moment? Can you think about what that'll mean to you? What about being quiet in business? When we can be quiet in business, we have a way of being able to understand. And by being able to understand, we can actually see the world from a different perspective. Okay? That's pretty neat. Okay? Think about what I mean by that. Think about a perspective. Just think about it. And when you think about it, you'll be able to notice if there's a shift or if there's a change that's going on in your life, right? And that shift may not always be what you expected or what somebody else envisioned. But one thing is certain, when we choose to listen, when we choose to focus, our world becomes different. When you're listening to people, okay, and you're not looking to interject a point. I know so many people that when I'm having a conversation, it's like they already have this question, right? And they want to interrupt because they got to get their question answered. But what they don't do is they don't pay attention to my point. So they're not really listening to me, are they? They're kind of listening like with a half ear. I think that's one of the worst things you can do is listen with a half ear, right? A half ear means that you are hearing the conversation, but you're not really paying attention to its meaning. You're not really paying attention to its meaning. And if you're not paying attention to its meaning, then how do you figure out what's going on? How do you figure out what's happening? Right? How do you figure that out? And I think the biggest thing I want to say to you is that it comes down to a presence. Okay? It comes down to a presence. And when we can command a presence, okay? When we can command a presence, something happens. Something happens to us. We become aware of our situation. We become non-reactive. We become proactive. So let's think of it in terms of a fire, okay? And this is something people always pay attention to, right? So what, if I had to ask you this question, guys, what should I do to prepare for a fire? Like, what should I get? What should I plan? Does anybody know? I mean, I hope you never have a fire, number one, but are you prepared if one broke out? So when I was at school, at college, I'm back at school again, but when I was living at college, and I remember being in the dorm, and I remember being, it was like our junior year and our senior year. I lived in the same place. I lived in a place where seniors would live my junior year. I was very fortunate. That place had air conditioning. It was called Park River. And I remember, because I wasn't there every weekend, I remember at like not 10, not 11, like 2 or 3 in the morning, the alarm would go off. Okay. And first thing I was like, oh, there's a fire. I better just grab everything. So first thing I did, the first thing was I wasn't prepared, right? I grabbed a pair of pants quick from my closet, pair of jeans, threw a sweatshirt on and or just threw my jacket on. So I grabbed a pair of jeans to put over my pajamas, and I just put my jacket on over to stay warm and put my shoes on, made sure I had socks on. And I don't think, no, I didn't think I put socks on. And I went downstairs and stood outside for what it was, an hour or a little more. And then they called us back. Turns out one of the sororities or fraternities actually decided they didn't know how to use a toaster. They're probably drunk, and they were setting the curtains on fire. So then we were having more of these. We had another one, and I said, you know what? Because we had a second one. And after the second one, nothing really happened. It was just kind of somebody setting a smoke alarm off. So now I said, you know what? This has happened too often within like a short period of time. Like a month, this happened like 2 or 3 times. And I said, all right, I got to be prepared. So when I go to bed at night, I'm going to make sure that I have my jeans over my chair, and my jacket's ready. And if I have to hop out of bed, I quick throw my jeans on. I could be out in less than a minute. And the interesting thing about that is it kept happening for a while. Now, I was prepared, but many people were like, oh, it's not going to happen. I said, I'd rather be prepared than be frustrated because I'm not ready, right? So let's talk about a fire. And that's an important thing for everyone here to know, because hopefully you never had them, but I'd like you to always be prepared for one. So what do you get? Fire safety essentials for your home. Smoke alarms, right? Some of you have the smoke alarms that you have to change the batteries, and those you have to do basically every time you change the clocks, which is twice a year. But I recommend putting the ones that I think they're like 7 or I think it's 10 years. You put them in and you put a date on them, and you don't have to touch them again for 10 years. Smoke alarms on every level of your home. Test them monthly. Fire extinguisher, ABC type, in the kitchen, the garage, and near the bedrooms. A fire blanket, especially for kitchens. Flashlights, 1 per room if possible. Some spare batteries. An emergency whistle to signal if someone's trapped. A go bag, something you can grab in 30 seconds or less. This is things like copies of IDs, your insurance, medical information, paper, maybe things on a USB stick, phone charger, power bank, cash, because the ATM may be down, medications if you need them, N95 or smoke masks like we were talking about during the COVID time, right? Water and some small snacks, basic first aid kit, clothes and sturdy shoes, and maybe some pet supplies, okay? You already have it to go. So you throw everything on, you pick up the bag, and bam, you're out. What else do you need to plan so that you can have things so that you could save lives? Well, first of all, you should always make sure that you know 2 ways out of your location. If you're going on a trip, maybe you're at a hotel, take a minute or 2, look at the evacuation plan and figure out 2 ways to get out of your room. Okay, that's the first thing I always do when I check into a hotel. Practice getting out in the dark. So a lot of hotels that I go to, they're pretty well lit up. But at home, I have lights that come on when it's dark and things like that. And some lights that come on that don't need power, right? They basically come on when there's no power. They're rechargeable. And so practice getting out in the dark, all right? Designate a meeting spot, everyone. This is really important. Outside, tree, mailbox, neighbor's house. The first time I learned about the meeting spot, and after I learned about it, we started doing it at home, was that we created one, was at school. We had a designated meeting spot. Every time you were in a different grade, each classroom had a different meeting spot. So not such a big deal when you were in, like, K through, let's say, third or fourth grade, but you still had gym from, like, first to four and up. So you'd have a different evacuation in gym. When we got into classes that are like fifth grade through eighth grade, well, now I could be in maybe four different classrooms possibly. Okay. And I could also be in the gym. And so now we had to know, how do you get out of that situation? How do you get out of that safely? That was really important. So we had fire drills a couple times a month, not because we didn't know how to get out of the building, but because it was different depending on where we were situated, what class we were in. For example, if I was in gym class, first thing we were to do is to go right out one of the doors, to our left or to our right, and our gym spot was right outside, and we had a spot that we'd meet. Every classroom, okay, the location had a spot. If you were in the kitchen, you'd be over here. If you were here, the reason I say that is I volunteered and I helped with the they call it the basically they called it the pretzels. You're probably familiar with this, the Boston pretzels. So we had those at our school, and if I was in the kitchen helping with that and we had to get out, there was a place we'd have to be. So those are very, very important things. Communicate your okay. So the most important thing, know where it is. Designate your meeting spot, and never, ever, ever re-enter the building for any reason whatsoever. Even if somebody's in there, a loved one, tell the emergency people, don't you go back in, because now we have to worry about getting that person out and getting you out. Just tell whoever's there, and they will take care of it. Trust me. Make sure you have ice in case of emergency. This is important to have. Evacuation plan we talked about. Know the two routes. Keep your gas tank full. Store essentials where you can grab them fast. If they're ordered in a moment to evacuate, you can go early. What to do before, during, and after. Before a fire, clear dry leaves, debris near home. Don't overload outlets. Unplug unused appliances. Keep flammables away from heat sources. Close bedroom doors at night, and this will slow fire spreading. During a fire, get low, right? Drop. You ever heard the stop, drop, and roll? It was a great commercial they had on many years ago. Stop, drop, and roll. Get low, smoke rises. Feel the doors. Before opening them, hot equals don't open. Cold equals open. If it's hot, go another way. Close doors behind you. Call 911 once it's safe. If closed, catch fire, stop, drop, and roll. Okay? If someone, let's say, sees a small fire, only if you think it's safe and you're able to put it out, pull a pin, aim low, squeeze, and sweep back and forth, okay? If it doesn't go out immediately, leave, okay? Do not return until authorities say it is safe for you to go back into the building. Document damage for your insurance company. Watch for smoke inhalation symptoms. Very, very important. Special situations, wildfires. Keep windows, doors closed. Wear a mask if air quality is poor. Prepare to leave hours earlier than you think. Apartments, know your stairwells, never elevators. Know if you should stay put. Some high rises or tell you to do that, or if you should evacuate. Pets, never leave them behind if possible. Keep carriers accessible. Practice loading them quickly, okay? If you do nothing else, I want you to do this today. Stand in your bedroom and time how long it takes you to get outside. If it's more than 60 seconds, you better fix that. Okay? The thing is, if you live on a high floor, it might take you some time, okay, to get out. So getting out might take you, so literally, you can, now I'm talking, they always say walk, don't run, okay? Because somebody could fall, he get hurt. So typically, you can usually get to your stairs if you're in a building or an apartment building, usually within less than 10 seconds. Okay, 10, 20 seconds. That means you should be able to get out of the building, okay, in under a minute. You can do this, okay? That's important to understand. Very, very important to understand. But the other thing I want you to do too is I want you to come up with an evacuation plan. I want you to write it down. I want you to publish it. Share it with not just your family, but even your visitors when they come over. Have it posted somewhere. I know this sounds corny, but hey, if it saves lives, it's important, guys. It is important. And a lot of places, sometimes places are big and you think you're going out, but maybe that room doesn't go out. Maybe that room just goes into another room. So this is why a lot of places, even large homes and mansions, have signs that say where the exit is, right? I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think if a house is too big, I think it should definitely have exit signs. Mansions definitely need exit signs, right? You think you're getting ready to go out, and really what you did is you just got yourself back into a loop again. So here's the truth, everyone. The loud often peaks very early and it catches people's attention, all right? The quiet, though, endures. Quiet power scales. Silent progress always compounds. Calm confidence will continue to last. And you'll have your composure. There's always going to be people at emergency situations that are going to panic. There's enough people that panic already. We don't need you to panic too, all right? So obviously we don't want people to panic, but if we can keep you from panicking, then we could probably keep a lot of other people from panicking. But some people are just going to panic, all right? You could try to reassure them, but they might not. If you've ever felt overlooked, maybe underestimated, or maybe even unseen, this was the episode for you. And it's a reminder that you don't need to be louder so you can catch people. You need to be steadier. Hey guys, this has been Inspirations for Your Life, the daily motivational show. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, reminding you that quiet strength isn't the absence of power. It's power that knows exactly when to move, and it might just save your life. There's more great Inspirations for Your Life and other great shows, long form, short form, articles, and more by taking the time 24 hours a day to visit believemeachieve.com. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, preparing for a fire or being proactive is not something you do once. It's something you do over and over again, because when you're reactive, you are stressed. You are bound to make mistakes, and that mistake could cost you your life. Have yourself a great one, everyone, and I will catch you real soon. And remember, don't be loud, be quiet, and do it intentionally.